Ever since the beginning, the nominations has been not according to Alfred Nobel's will. There is a book published in Norway recently. It's called Back of the Medal. I was surprised by he also nominated me to be in the Nobel Peace Committee. Alfred Nobel, he said that the prize should be given to people who have done great benefit for mankind, the brotherhood of nations, for peace champions, and for disarmament.
Do you think the Hong Kong protesters in general deserve such a prize?
I would say a clear no to that. They have by no means done that. And that is not according to any positive behavior to give the Peace Prize to those. They were nominated this year. I was so relieved that they didn't get it, because then we would have been in great trouble again. Hong Kong is Chinese, and the one who don't want to live there, they are free to go. I go free all around in China, no problem. That is not what the Western press is telling. I can be attacked at any time in my safe country or in Europe, but that is not the case in China. You had these few suicide bombers in Urumqi in 2014, hardly nothing after that. We have it all the time. We should look to China how to handle it. No one is born a terrorist.
Hey allesammans, it's Keybros. Welcome to a new episode of SOFTtalk, where unlike BBC's Hard Talk, the interviewees won't find it hard to talk. So today we're very honoured to have a very special guest of us. He is Mr. Thore Vestby, who is a former MP and mayor in Norway. And he's also currently the chairman of the IKI Foundation, which is in charge of the Belt and Road Initiative. Let us ask Mr. Vestby to introduce himself to our audience.
Thank you for having me. It is really a pleasure for me to talk to you about this subject that I've been very interested in and involved in the last 5 years. I have been born and raised just after World War II in the West. We have been very much influenced by the Americans. The cars, the music, the movies, the hamburgers, everything is a part of my culture. When you are coming into position like a mayor and even a member of parliament, you are partly a bit of that system. You are in there on the premises that are inside that bubble. I feel very happy, though, to be outside that system now and have had the opportunity through my work with the IKI Foundation to go to a lot of countries in Europe and also extensive travel around China for 5 years, 30 travels and working in China, and also the countries in between in Eurasia. So I feel that I am now in a position that I have a good understanding of the system I'm born and raised in, and I also have a good understanding of the systems the other side.
Tusen takk. So without further ado, let's begin with the first question.
Start off by asking you about what your view is on the Hong Kong protest.
What we have seen the last 2 years is terrible, shouldn't happen. It's outrageous. Imagine if such a thing had happened in any other city in the world almost, or in Europe. It was a disaster. How is it possible to take down a city like that? It was appalling to watch.
How did the media back in Norway report on the protests?
The press in Norway, like the press in the other European countries, are very much influenced by America and the UK. The biggest Norwegian publisher is owned up to 37% by American companies. They have to tell the story that is influenced by the Americans. They are having a grip on the Western media. The story goes like they are fighting for democracy and they are demonizing China. I feel this is extremely unfair. It's not right. If you look at the democracy in the US, how it has been displayed, especially the last 3 months, what kind of democracy is that? I am not the only one that are questioning the democracy now. We've seen democracies that are really not democracies. It's just the name they put on things.
The Hong Kong pro-democracy movement protesters, leaders, and their related media have been nominated by certain US lawmakers for the Nobel Peace Prize. So as a former MP of the Norwegian parliament, what do you think about this? Can you give us some insights into the nomination process?
I will gladly do that. As a matter of fact, I am quite informed by Nobel Peace Prize. Ever since the beginning, the nominations has been not according to Alfred Nobel's will. There is a book published in Norway recently. It's called Back of the Medal. And this man, Mr. Heffermehl, he is fighting for the Nobel Peace Prize Committee that was given to Norway by Sweden to give the prize according to his will. And he now proves that has almost never been done. Alfred Nobel, he said that the prize should be given to people who have done great benefit for mankind, the brotherhood of nations, for peace champions, and for disarmament. Some exceptions, of course, but mainly they have not followed the will. He has actually come up with 2 persons to be in the Nobel Peace Committee. I was surprised by he also nominated me to be in that committee. That will never happen, though. The parliament who are nominating the people to that committee, they are silent. They don't want to talk about it. And it's been like that since 1897. I'm not quite happy with that. I hope that they someday will follow Alfred Nobel's will to give it to people who go for brotherhood between nations, peace champions, and disarmament.
Just a follow-up question. Do you think the Hong Kong protesters in general deserve such a prize?
I would say a clear no to that. They have by no means done that. And that is not according to any positive behavior to give the Peace Prize to those. They were nominated this year. I was so relieved that they didn't get it, because then we would have been in great trouble again.
Norway is one of the 23 countries in the United Nations Human Rights Council which has publicly condemned the imposition of the controversial Hong Kong SAR national security law. So what is your view on the law? Do you think it is necessary?
I have not studied the law, but as a starting point, Hong Kong is Chinese. I think Beijing, China has taken it very easy to get control over their land for the security of the people in Hong Kong. They have been acting very wisely, been patient. They are now using the soft power. And now it looks to me that life is coming back to the people who are living there. And the one who don't want to live there, they are free to go. That is the same case in all the countries.
Now let's talk about the relationship between Norway and China. Norway is one of the very first Western European countries to recognize the PRC. In fact, in 1950, right after the PRC was established, the initial relations between the 2 countries were actually pretty good. But however, in recent years, the relationship has become worse, largely due to the awarding of the Nobel Peace Prize to the late Chinese dissident Liu Xiaobo in 2010. And also, while Norway has not officially banned Huawei, it was excluded by Norway's major telecom company, Telenor, to develop its 5G network. On the other hand, Norway has also frequently criticized China's human rights record, particularly when it comes to Xinjiang and Tibet. What do you think about modern Norwegian-Chinese relationships? And why is the Norwegian public so anti-China? And do you think it is justified for Norway to intervene and kind of meddle with Chinese affairs in the name of democracy and human rights?
This is a good topic. I would like to add that we also have a bad history about how we have handled the Dalai Lama thing. When we were let out by China from the we call the freezing box after 7 years of diplomatic freeze, we signed a paper that we shall not interfere in the internal matters in China. That is in written. We mostly stick to that. There are some exceptions. We have this freedom of speech, so people are forgetting that from time to time. But overall, we are quite pragmatic to our relation to China. China is a huge business partner. We are buying a lot, and you are buying a lot from us. So we want to keep that going. And at the same time, there are issues that we want to discuss, and we discuss them in a normal diplomatic manner, without interfering, but officially by the foreign ministry to address them. Just address them and not banning and being very harsh on that. Having said that, I also think it's terrible to see how a country, I'm talking about America, how they have threatened and pushed their friends come together to crack down a company like Huawei. Huawei has almost all of the patents on 5G. The Americans have 0. So they are using the old Western aristocratic ignorance and arrogance to try to take down a competitor company in another country. I feel so sorry to be a Westerner and to be a part of that system who are acting like that, because this is really not fair. But actually, this is how the West has been acting for the last 500 years. And I'm not so proud of that. So I think it's also important to understand that a lot of countries in the West are under the umbrella of the Americans. So maybe they want to do differently, but they are pushed to do so. There might be a change now with the new administration, but I think it will have a slow start because the demonizing of China has been going on for so many years now. Biden, it will be political suicide for him if he immediately goes positive to China. He has to stay a little bit in the same direction, but I think over time this has the potential of getting better because the best solution to things is that you cooperate, not fight.
Having traveled extensively in China, so are there certain experiences or a few episodes during a time in China that can help clear up certain misconceptions that Westerners or Norwegians may have regarding China?
I was in China first time in 2000. I had a tour around for 2 weeks. I really then got the interest because I saw what was going on. I saw the potential. The last 5 years, I have been experiencing that myself by going there, by seeing the development. When I came back after 3 months, there was a change. I could feel the change. People are happy, they are hardworking, and they look forward for a better future. And they put the nation first, not themselves first. I feel the innovation drive that is in the people. That's going to take you to new heights in the future. That is what I think that the Americans are afraid of. As long as somebody just copy things, it's no problem. But when they start to innovate, then we might get in problems. I see visions and I see spirit that we don't have in the West.
Norway is a NATO member that has military obligations owed to the US. So if the US were to go to war with China, obviously everyone here doesn't hope that happens, which sides will people in Norway be more likely to side with?
I don't really like the talk about if America will go to war and we all go down. And I don't think that the Americans will do. And that is based on mainly the fact that I think they now have learned a lesson after the invasion of Iraq in 2003. If you look at the world, how it changed in the West, especially with the migrants and all the killings and all the terror that has come after 2003, how many trillions they have spent on this. I don't think they will ever do that again. I think they will try to make some small problems in the South China Sea, Taiwan, but just small things. I think the people now know that this is not a way of ruling the world. It will be quite interesting to see how America now is trying to heal their wounds of disaster, war on terror. The fact is that the Chinese has handled that much better. You did something after the attack in Urumqi in 2014. I have been up there. I went there. I go free all around in China. No problem. That is not what the Western press is telling, but I do it. I experienced it myself to see the happy people. You stopped the terrorism up there by teaching the people what is good or bad. And that is the same in the West. The war on terror that has been run by the Americans is just terrible. You see, the result is the opposite. I can be attacked at any time in my safe country or in Europe. But that is not the case in China. You had these few suicide bombers in Urumqi in 2014, hardly nothing after that. We have it all the time. We should look to China, how to handle it. No one is born a terrorist.
Do you think radical Islam or the migrant wave that has been coming in from the Middle East poses a threat to Western civilization or to Norway?
This is a delicate question. There is no doubt that the migrants are coming because of the wars, but they are also coming because of starvation. Are learning a tough lesson about how to integrate them. Are some coming and then going back to build up their countries again? Or are they staying? We want to help them, but the way we help them, the opinions are different. 15% of the Norwegian population are now immigrants. That is a lot, and they have come the last 10 years. The best thing is that they should be happy, and we should be happy, but that is not the case. We might have other problems if they are not here because they are doing a lot of work. They are contributing to the society, but there are also some downsides on this that makes it difficult. Personally, I have found out that if we could help them where they live, that is the best. You can get most out of it because we are one of the most expensive countries in the world to live in. And we are so loaded with people's rights. You can ask for this and that, and you get it. The political system is that during elections, parties are promising things to the people. If you vote on me, you will get a higher pension. And when they come into position, then they have to deliver. So we are adding up expenses. I don't know the end of this. A lot of this come from the way that America is fighting their wars in other countries. We support some of them because of NATO, but not all of them. I think it's paragraph number 5 in the NATO pact says that an attack on any of the countries should be looked upon as an attack on your own country. That was happened after the downtaking of the Twin Towers in New York. That paragraph was used. So all the NATO countries have to go together with America. And then we all know the tragedy in Afghanistan.
So at the moment, Norway is not an official part of China's Belt and Road Initiative. However, as the chairman of the ICI Foundation, which focuses on the BRI project to connect China and continental Europe, do you think Norway should get involved in the BRI officially? And if so, how can Norway do that?
I think we are in a way, but not quite officially. And that again is based on we are probably not allowed it by the Americans to do so. But up in the high north, there has been doing a very good job in preparing for the Arctic Silk Road. There's not so much ice up there in winter, not even in summer. So the goods and the ships and the containers from China can have the northern route be landed in the northern part of Norway. So there are plans for making a huge harbor. There are plans for linking up to the Finnish railroad system. It's not many kilometers that is missing. So then all the goods can come in from the north and down to Europe. It is challenging both the Americans and the Russians if you're talking about the security policy. But if you put the business ahead of the security policy, I think it's a very good initiative. Right now, we are in a position that we cannot sign an MOU for the Belt and Road Initiative, but we are in a way acting like we are having one.
Norway is currently not a member of the European Union, but is part of the Schengen area. Given the rise of populism, including the occurrence of Brexit, do you think that Norway will ever join the EU in the future? Is EU accession beneficial or harmful to a country?
Norway has been split in 2 times. We had an election in 72 and an election in 94, and it was a very small margin that we said no to enter the EU. Now we have good cooperation, meaning that we are the country number 1 acting like what they decide in Brussels. We implement everything immediately, not the other countries, but we are not by the negotiation table. And we have a quite good deal because the price for being that kind of member is about 6 billion a year, and we export for 100 billion. So it's a fairly good deal. If we talk about the future, I think we will stay like that. We will not go out and we will not get in.
The COVID-19 pandemic obviously has caused great harm in many countries, especially in the Western world, including Norway. So how is the situation like in your country? And given the economic downturn, how do you see the future of Norway in the next few years?
Very good question, very interesting. I just saw the figure that last year we are going down 2.5%, while China is gaining 4%. Other countries are going more down. We are in a very good position economically. We have the biggest fund there is in the world because of the oil that we are producing. So we are pouring in money into both families and companies so they can keep on going. We will come through this like we did in the economic crisis in 2008 in a very good way. And we are also handling the pandemic quite well. For example, the UK, they have more than 1,700 deaths per million. We are having around 100, and China is having 3. Why these differences in the death rate of the pandemic? It is not about what kind of governance there is, because China and South Korea, Japan, Thailand are doing good, and there are differences in Europe, even if we're all democracies. It seems like it is about the trust in the governance. If you trust your government and let them decide what to do and don't argue that, do it. These countries are doing it the best way. You also see that the only thing that works is a lockdown. Get rid of it. No discussion. That is easier in China. You have the best confidence in the government there is in the world. In a new report from America, the Edelman report, it's gained from 78 to 85% of the Chinese people are trusting the government. That is an enormous force and benefit. Even we in Norway, we have a trust in our government and the handling of the pandemic. So I'm quite happy with that. Let's see.
Tusen takk. Again, thank you very much, Mr. Vestby, for coming on to our show. It's been a huge pleasure and honor to have you on. So if you like this video, please remember to give a like and subscribe by pressing the red button below. See you guys in the next episode. Bye.